Yo, what's up everyone? It's Matter here. So I'm going to be doing another video explaining about another hockey player on my opinion. So I'm going to be doing Brent Seabrook of the Chicago Blackhawks. So, this guy, Olympic gold medal player, Stanley Cup champion. He's a really, really good player. So the reason I'm doing these videos more and more often is because you guys seem to be liking him, getting a lot of views on them, which means that you guys are interested in them, so I'm going to keep doing it. So I'm going to talk about Brent Seabrook here, another Blackhawk player. Obviously, I'm a Blackhawk fan, which is why I'll be reviewing another Blackhawk player. But check out my video on Sidney Crosby, though. That one was my best hockey video yet. That one surpassed Jonathan Toews. It's got over 140 views already. Check that one out. And yeah, so let's get started with Brent Seabrook here. So Brent Seabrook here, he is 6'3", 220 pounds, and he's the age of 36 years old. Alright, let me also mention, to get this out of the way, Brent Seabrook has officially retired. So he is not playing in the league anymore. Obviously, it's not official. He's on LTR, so he's long-term injured reserve, basically. So basically what that means is that he's not going to play anymore, but he's still going to get paid because he's not officially retired because he still has a contract. So until his contract expires in, 3 or 4 seasons, he will be not officially retired, and he still will be getting paid his $6.8 million cap hit, which, by the way, was ferocious for Chicago. Thankfully, he retired, though, because he was nowhere near what he once was. So, again, Brent Seabrook was 36 when he retired. So, Brent Seabrook is Canadian. I said he already won an Olympic gold medal. Brent Seabrook was drafted in 2003. He was in the first round, 14th overall in the draft. So he broke into the league, and it took him 2 years to develop. He broke in around the same year Duncan Keith did. He came into the league doing pretty well, to be honest. He played 69 games. He had 5 goals, 27 assists for 32 points, and was a +5. So that's pretty solid for a rookie defenseman. Really good numbers there. It's really good. So, remember, Chicago back in the day was not a good team at all. Chicago had not even drafted Toews and Kane by then. So Chicago was a very, 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 very bad team. They were in the dead. The franchise was in the dead. They had not rised up to what they were in this past decade, which is but yeah, so Seabrook, he's performing pretty well with a terrible team. So, to keep that in mind. Following that year, Seabrook had a bit of a down year. He had 81 games played. He had 4 goals, 20 assists for 24 points, and was a -6. So again, Chicago, a terrible team. They ended up drafting Toews 3rd overall, which was really good for Chicago's franchise. Obviously, Toews took a year to develop and then broke in the following year, which came in 2007-8, where Brent Seabrook had again a similar season to his rookie year. He had 82 games played. He had 9 goals, 23 assists for 32 points, and was a +13. That year, Chicago obviously missed the playoffs. They were still not as good of a team. They were not a good team still. They had good players like Robert Lang and Martin Havlat. Those were good players I remember. But they're not a good team at all. Not at all. So they ended up getting Patrick Kane 1st overall that year. Following that year, in 2008-9, Chicago made it to the Western Conference Finals. Seabrook had a bit of a setback year, but his plus-minus was much higher, obviously because the team was way stronger. And he played a full 82-game season, scoring 8 goals, 18 assists for 26 points, and was a +23. In 2009-10, Brent Seabrook won his first ever award in the NHL, which was the Stanley Cup. He had 78 games played. He had 4 goals, 26 assists for 30 points. He was a +20. So Brent Seabrook, a solid top 4 defenseman who could play up to over 20 minutes on the ice, already had won his first Stanley Cup, which was great for Chicago. Seabrook, he's a really good defenseman. He was also the alternate captain for Chicago. Not until Patrick Sharp left, though. That we'll get to that afterwards. Following that, in 2010-11 is when Seabrook started to really break out to be that top defenseman for Chicago. He put it up in 82 games. He had 9 goals, 39 assists for 48 points, and was a 0+0. So that was his second best point total season. That was a really high season of points for Brent Seabrook. He showed great offensive capabilities. He was a 2-way defenseman for the Chicago Blackhawks. Phenomenal performance by Brent Seabrook. In 2011-12, Chicago, he played for Chicago again. He had 78 games, 9 goals, 25 assists for 34 points. I was a plus 21. Nothing too big for Seabrook again. He didn't have any. He had no major awards, but like individually, like an Art Ross, a Hart Trophy, or Maurice. He just won 3 cups, but it doesn't matter. You don't need to win all these awards to be a good player. Still, you could still be a good player without any of these major awards at all. It's not like you could think about it. There are many players who've succeeded well in the NHL, like who haven't won the cup or who haven't won awards. There are good players still, who'll give you like a 50 to 60 point season a year, like a forward who hasn't won an Art Ross trophy, because they're just a good player. Like you look at Jonathan Toews, for example. He's probably one of the best two-way forwards in the game, but he hasn't won an Art Ross trophy because that's not his role to get hundreds of points in a year. So that's the same thing with Brent Seabrook. He's big, he's really good defensively at his peak. And then he also had a bit of offensive flair in him. He had a good slap shot. You can watch videos of Brent Seabrook. I'm not gonna. You can just see him. He bombed the puck in the net. He kind of reminds me of Shea Weber. Obviously not as hard, but it kind of gives me that idea of when he shoots the puck. He had that Shea Weber shot that reminds me of it, he's probably not far from though, because he's a big boy. Similar to Shea Weber's size. But anyways, back to the statistics of him. In 2012-13, in the lockout year, Seabrook had 47 games played. He had 8 goals, 12 assists for 20 points, and was a plus 12. This year, Brent Seabrook won his second Stanley Cup with the Chicago Blackhawks, which was a great achievement for him. In 2013-14, Brent Seabrook had a phenomenal season. In 82 games, he had 7 goals, 34 assists for 41 points, and was a plus 23. Brent Seabrook averaged a point every other game, which would be a .50. So that's really good for a defenseman as well. He also had a high plus-minus. Very, very, very good defenseman. He was never nominated for a Norris Trophy, but trust me, there were some years where he should have been nominated. There for sure, there should have been. Especially, I think maybe even in 15-16, he should have been nominated. But, it is what it is. And 14-15, Brent Seabrook had a bit of an off year. He had 82 games played, 8 goals, 23 assists, 31 points. He was a -3, but who cares? He won the Stanley Cup with the Chicago Blackhawks, capping his 3rd cup. So the thing with Brent Seabrook is, people are going to ask, is he Hall of Fame material? People are going to argue, yeah, he is, because he won 3 Stanley Cups. But then again, the argument is no, he's not. He's not been a Norris defenseman. He's not been a top defenseman in the league, and he has nothing to show for. Well, it's hard to argue with that. I mean, it's not like he's Duncan Keith, where Duncan Keith has won the 2 Norris trophies and the Conn Smythe trophy, along with the 3 Stanley Cups. Brent Seabrook has won a gold medal, but still, Brent Seabrook is not a Hall of Famer by any means. I don't think so. I don't think he'll get in. I think Keith will get in, for sure. Duncan Keith, yes, for sure. Brent Seabrook, I don't see him in. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer at all. Don't get me wrong, he's not a bad player. He is a good player, but he's just not going to get it in. That's my opinion, but I think most of you can agree with me there. So after he won the cup, Brent Seabrook the following year had his best season of his career, where he played 81 games. He had 14 goals, 35 assists for 49 points. And was a +6. That was the best point total of his entire career in the NHL. And yet that was the most goals he had in a season, 14. So this is when Brent Seabrook got the contract that was worth $6.8 million, which is at the time it was like, oh, now that's a bit of a pain, but we can live with that. But as seasons passed, it was like, wow, that's a fucking pain in the ass. And that was one of the worst contracts in the league. Obviously now, because he's gone, he's not playing. Chicago doesn't have to put him in the cap hit anymore. But still, he had the worst contract in the league. And I'm going to explain to you why. Obviously, then the following year, in 2016-17, Brent Seabrook still had a reasonable year. In 79 games, he scored 3 goals and 36 assists for 39 points. It was a +5. So that's still solid. But is it really worth $6.8 million? it's bearable, but you could already tell that he was aging too. Not in like he was getting old, but in the sense that he was starting to have wears and tears again with injuries and stuff. He had hip surgery and shoulder surgery, so he was starting to get beat up from all those. He's been grinding it. He's been in the playoffs so long, lots of hard fought games. Seabrook's a pretty gritty player. He gets in those battles. Not like he's a guy like Kane who avoids the battles. Seabrook is a guy who gets in there always. That's why he's a good two-way defenseman. He can be dirty. He can make big hits. And he takes a lot of penalties. That's why. So he's sustained a lot of injuries that over time weared him down. But following still, he performed in 2016-17 the season. But following that year, that's when you could tell. You could tell there was a huge decrease in Seabrook's gameplay. In 81 games, he had 7 goals, 19 assists, and was a -3. Then we knew Seabrook was having some injury problems. And I think we knew in 15-16 he was already facing some injury problems. Jonathan Toews also was having injury problems around then with his back. Keith was suspended. A lot of chaos was going on in Chicago. But Seabrook's injury was probably hidden, to be honest, until it was officially released. I don't know why Toews is probably the most hidden one we've had, but everyone knows about is wondering why he's away. But Seabrook, he was able to play through it though. Seabrook was playing through a lot of injuries, which is really good about him. But yeah, so he had a decrease in 17-18. Chicago was not a terrible team, and I'm not gonna lie, they were fucking bad in 2017-18. They were bad. They missed the playoffs, and then 18-19 came. Seabrook. I'm not going to say he had a similar year, I guess. He had 78 games, 5 goals, 23 assists, 28 points, -6. So, this is when we say that's the worst contract in the league. Yes, it is. $6.8 million, putting up 20s in the 20s of points as a defenseman. Sure, he's a defenseman. You're not supposed to score 100 points in a season, but come on. The guy's is a minus player in the season. He's not even a Norris candidate. $6.8 million is so basically $7 million. That should be like a very, very, very solid top 4, if not top 2 defenseman in the league, which Seabrook was nowhere near capable of. If lucky, okay, not if lucky. He was just at his role. He was playing like a top 6 or maybe top 4, bottom top 4, like a weaker top 4, with his numbers, but. And then we go to 2019-20, which was when it went kaboom for Seabrook. Again, he had surgery in his hip and his shoulder, which resulted in him not missing most of the season. He played 32 games. He scored 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points. He was a +1. He missed the rest of the season because he had surgery in his hip and in his shoulder. And ever since then, he has not played in the playoffs where Chicago had a run and lost to Vegas. And he has not played in the 2021 season. Resulting in that, Seabrook has now officially called it quits, which has caused Chicago to lose the following players now. Chicago has had Crawford retire, Brent Seabrook retire, and Andrew Shaw retire. So 3 players in a similar time bracket who have been part of Chicago's good runs in the Stanley Cups are now gone. And Seabrook was one of them who's won the 3 cups. It's tough to say that, but Seabrook, he was a good player, and he just had to call it quits because he couldn't play anymore. He couldn't play to the ability that he used to because of the injuries, and that's the problem with hockey. You're being paid to get hurt, basically, is what it is. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying hockey is a dangerous sport and all, but when you're in the pros, you gotta watch out because people are gonna get hurt. It's not like if you were in a house league, it's all fun and games. No one's gonna get really hurt there. But in the pro league, you're getting hit hard, and you're getting battered, getting pucks to the face. It's not good. But I guess it's worth the dream for the players. But. So in the playoffs, Brent Seabrook, he was a good playoff performer too. He had some key overtime winning goals. For actually in 2012-13 in the playoffs, he scored the game winner for Chicago against Detroit. He was a very good playoff performer. I'll show you the stats here. So In 2008-9, he had 12 points in 17 games, which is really, really good. In 2009-10, he had 11 points in 22 games. In 10-11, he had 1 point in 5 games. 11-12, he had 3 points in 6 games. 12-13, that one he played a bit off. He had 4 points in 23 games. 13-14, though, he did really well. 15 points in 16 games. 14-15, he had 11 points in 23 games. And he had 2 points in 7 games in 15-16. And in 17, he had no points. So let's review Brent Seabrook in his entire career right now. So here's his statistics, his final stats. Brent Seabrook, he's achieved the milestone of playing over 1,000 games. So that already is a huge milestone that people consider to be a Hall of Famer. Obviously, I said he's not, but still. He's played over 1,000 games. Congratulations to him. That is a good milestone to achieve. 1,114 games. Congratulations. That is amazing. He scored 103 NHL goals, 361 NHL assists, and 464 points. And he was a plus 111. So again, solid for a defenseman. Really solid. His awards in the National Hockey League are 3 Stanley Cups. Just 3. Nothing else. No Norris. So, the players I've reviewed before are star players. Taves, Kane, Crosby, they've all been stars. This one here, he's won an award. He's won the biggest prize in hockey, but he's nothing to show for it. The ones I reviewed, Keith, Taves, Kane's, Crosby, and many other that come, they're going to be Hall of Famers. This one was different. This is not going to be a Hall of Fame player, Brent Seabrook. However, this is an example of a guy who's just a good hockey player. You don't have to be the best to be acknowledged. This is a good hockey player. He's good. He doesn't have to be a star to be honored. Like, I respect Seabrook as a hockey player. He's a good player, you know. I have a Seabrook jersey too because of he's still a good player. And I'll be doing another video on a guy who I think is underrated, and I'm going to tell him right now. It's Nicholas Chalmerson, who played for Chicago, but now he's in Arizona. He won 3 cups with the Hawks as well. Next time I do a talk, I'll be doing it on Nicholas Chalmerson, a defenseman. But, yeah, so as you can see, this is what I did for Brent Seabrook, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed me doing Brent Seabrook, this former assistant captain of the Chicago Blackhawks, Brent Seabrook. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to all my videos. Be sure to subscribe for sure. We're trying to get 50 subscribers. Thank you guys for watching all my videos. And shout out to you all who watched my live stream of NHL 21. And I'll have more shooting puck videos uploaded tomorrow morning. See you guys later. Bye-bye.